big fan of all of you, and congratulations on just a beautiful show, because it's hard to stick the landing, and you guys really did an amazing job with that.
Oh, thank you so much.
Of course.
We tried.
Okay,
You did.
we have a lot of stunt training for sticking the landing.
There you go. Very impressive. But Peyton and Tanner, I want to start with the two of you, because and we are going to be talking spoilers, so you guys are free. We're going to hold it. You're all good.
Cool.
Great.
Robbie's big I love you moment was one of my all-time favorites of the series. So I want to ask both of you, why do you think that was the right time for him to say those words to Tori? And then what do you imagine Tori's I love you moment back would be like? Because we didn't get to see that.
That's what I didn't even think
Listen, I was like,
I love you. And she's like, thank you. Appreciate it.
On Solo.
She had a lot on her mind.
I was gonna say, I don't think you needed to say it. You had to go beat up the person who I guess kind of essayed Robbie a little bit, and then that was the I love you for you. I don't know why that was the right time. Josh, John, and Hayden did great with that episode. I feel like we've just always felt like we've been on opposite sides, and this last season we really did try to come together, and we kind of Robbie kind of screwed you over multiple times by not being there for you when your mom died, and then going after you when you left, or trying to be there for you. I always think he's had the most love for Tori. But I think he just, sometimes in the middle of chaos is just the right time just to let somebody know, say, hey, just want to remind you, I'm here, and I'll always be here. So I think that's probably why. I don't know.
There were so many miscommunications between those two. And then I think just Tori was just kind of down in the fight. And so I think Robbie saw that and knew, okay, she needs to hear this. This is really how I feel, and she needs to hear this in order to come back.
Well, and I think you put it right, too. It's like there's been so much miscommunication between them that I think we decided communication's probably very nice, and we probably should just do that.
In moments like that where you're like, okay, this would determine the person's entire future.
Right.
Yeah.
She just gets beat up.
I'm such a Kiiri shipper at this point, and I was not. And I was completely converted by their, story arc over time. By the time of, prom, I was like, I'm still not buying it. No, this is BS. But by the time they've gotten to the end, I literally cried. He said, I love you. I was like, it's so beautiful.
It's called Kiiri?
Yeah.
Dude, it should be called, Torby.
Torby? Yeah, that's way more romantic.
Torby sounds weird.
Torby. I thought it was supposed to be sorry.
No, you're good. I want to ask Mary, Xolo, Jacob, and Gianni. All of your characters are going off to college now, so I want to ask, what made you most proud of their decisions?
Sorry.
Listen, you guys had an amazing ending. Let's get that straight right now.
You guys get fact checked.
You guys don't get to say anything about their ending. You guys are karate legends over here.
You just realized that right now, though.
I just realized we're not going to college. We're just going.
You have the love of your life to college.
Yeah, you got
You gotta choose one, man.
But with all of your characters going off to college, what makes you most proud of the choices they made regarding their future and the path they took to get there? I know.
I love that Dimitri was able to get into MIT and Hawk couldn't.
You mean
Yeah. What? Yeah, no, no one. Oh, all my Instagram comments are just talking about at least he got into MIT. Which sucks because I didn't get into MIT. And so anybody that doesn't know the show, my family thinks that I'm going to MIT now. I don't know.
We walked down the street before, and Xolo was explaining to me how everyone talks about MIT to him, and a kid from across the street goes, yo, MIT! Because I hadn't heard of this yet, because I don't have social media.
I've never thought I'd be bullied for going to MIT.
Yeah, it was really funny. I'm really proud of all the mistakes that Hawk made. I think those are the best things he did.
Breaking my arm?
We learned from them. He wouldn't be where he's at without all of the bodies he left behind.
Yeah, I feel like all of our characters, honestly, are going to be so well off in college. They've lived lifetimes already.
Yeah.
That they're going to be like, yo, as long as there's not a brawl happening in the quad of this college, I think you'll be fine.
6 seasons of arcs to take me through college, so I think I'll be okay.
I feel like Sam is definitely queen of if I could go back in time, but she's maybe better with hindsight than foresight, but I think she's learned a lot in that process. And the thing I in the last episodes that I was most excited for and proud of was her choice to, at the very least, like, not let all of her past mistakes make her want to hide in a corner and not participate. She was still willing to, like, go and do something that was a big shift and a big change, and like, want to go do that for herself. So I was excited for that.
I think that I'm most proud of, I guess, the commitment, like we're saying, to that found family and those folk around him. Like, I think it honestly, like, reminds myself of a lot of the relationship that we have, like, outside of the story. And, like, I'm just really proud of Miguel for finding that father figure, and now being able to, like, have that secure family and go off to college now. I think that's, like, you see, he desperately wants that at the beginning, and to secure that down with, like, a couple of extra folk now is pretty cool.
Thank you all so much for your
Thank you so
time,
much.
and congratulations again. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you. Be Soda with the Nerds of Color. And first of all, I am such a big fan of you and your work. So this is a real honor. Thank you for your time today. Congratulations on the show. I mean, not only this final season, but the whole journey overall. So I want to start by asking you a question that I'm always curious about, because one of my favorite parts about TV is seeing, you know, a character's significant moments throughout the season rather than kind of a beginning and end. So I want to ask you, what has it been like growing with Daniel throughout the seasons as you're growing? And then also, is there a significant moment in part 3 that you were really thankful that you got to bring to life for his story?
Great question. He's, you know, LaRusso has been a big part of my life. I've walked in these shoes for more than a few decades now, which is just still mind-boggling. You know, I have 8 and 10-year-old kids saying, "Hey, don't you play the dad in my favorite show?" I say, "Yeah, that's me. I'm the dad in your favorite show." There's so many elements to it. You know, it's been a journey. There's been a push and pull throughout Cobra Kai, as sometimes I would feel in the middle seasons or moments that Daniel LaRusso was kind of set up to be the obstacle for Johnny Lawrence. And I'd always say, "Hey, over here, let's dive deeper for this character as well." And in this final season, season 5 as well, we got to, mine a little bit of going internal for LaRusso, him going to a darker place, him having to dig himself out, him finding out maybe things about his mentor that he didn't know, that he was struggling to make sense out of. Having the opportunity to play moments in his mind with Mr. Miyagi was important. There's a moment that I've always asked for where they would be side by side in unison as one, kind of in his whether he was in his mind or as a ghost or whatever it would be. And we figured out a way to have that moment where, you know, you lose your parent or you don't have your mentor and you want to ask those questions, and that all that emotion comes up. And I think that scene plays really nicely and adds another element. And then when he says goodbye to Samantha at the airport, you know, that was real visceral, connective, human emotions. Yeah. And it's nice to have that in this crazy karate soap opera that sometimes feels like Bloodsport meets Game of Thrones. But it's nice that it lands in a very Karate Kid feel good, goosebump, yeah kind of moments.
Yeah. And I want to take you back for a minute to young Daniel from the Karate Kid. What do you think he would think of Daniel's ending in the Cobra Kai series? What do you think he'd think of him?
I think he would be happy where he lands. Yeah. I think throughout the 65 episodes, he might have been like, snap out of it. Come on. You should have learned this by now. Yeah. But, that's always been the balance. There's the first time I've said that word today. Therein lies the balance of Cobra Kai. You have to kind of create these fall down, scrape your hands, skin your knees, get back up, even when sometimes it would not feel completely truthful. That was always my toughest challenge in playing through the 65 episodes, is I feel he would know better. But for story, we had to make him not know better in that moment, but then redeem it later. So it's a careful balance, but our writers and creators have done a beautiful job, and it ends and lands in a really, really good, fun way.
It does. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, Ralph. Thank you.
Stuff.
And first of all, the show is amazing, guys. Thank you so much for your time today to talk about it.
Thank you.
We are going to be talking spoilers, and I'm going to hold it till after the episodes air. But the first thing I want to ask you is that moment with the students, Chosen, Daniel, coming out in their Cobra Kai gis. Can you tell me about filming that? Obviously, it was such a big support moment for Johnny, and it was so beautiful to see.
I mean, the imagery on this show is so powerful. Like that Cobra Kai gi carries weight with it. You know, there are moments on the show where it first, appears and, you see a glimpse of it. And there's the moment when he shows it to Miguel in the trunk of his car in season 1. And we're kind of leading up to the black gis, the tournament gis, that Johnny reveals to his class at the end of season 1. So it's just always carried with it just a heft. So, nothing would really just show visually the full support that Johnny has earned from, both his co-senseis and his students and his community, than them all coming out. And, even if it's for one day only, we are all Cobra Kai.
I want to ask you kind of a 2-part question regarding Robby and his ending. So the first part is, obviously he had such a beautiful happy ending, but I know it was a little heartbreaking to see that injury. Mm-hmm. I want to ask the reasoning behind that after, constantly coming in second. And then the ending with Tory. Why was it important to intertwine their endings to make it a happy ever after for them?
Well, it's really difficult figuring out who's going to win and lose when you're rooting for everyone. Yeah. And there can only be one winner at the Sekai Taikai. I guess one male winner, one female winner. But I think with Robby, we just liked the story of him coming in second, but being okay with it, because it shows all the development that he had as a character and his strength of will, compared to his father, who we saw come in second at the end of Karate Kid and then go on a downward spiral. When we met Robby at the beginning of the series, he's a troubled kid, even in a worse place than when we met Johnny in Karate Kid. And so we just love the idea of showing, the audience that, hey, you know what, you could end just like Johnny did in Karate Kid and come in second place and still the future looks bright. And he was the perfect vessel for that kind of message.
And as for, Tory and Robby and their kind of happy ending together, more than sort of any characters on the show, in some ways they felt like soulmates. I mean, they both just came from really rough starts and, had some anger to work through and lots of issues over the years. But to watch them both grow and sort of once they found each other, to be there for each other. We loved the arc this season that they had with, it was like the two of them against the world. And that, obviously had some major hiccups in the Sekai Taikai in Barcelona. But as they came back together, we thought it was important that they were there for each other in these big moments. And for, Tory obviously has this big victory on the mat that's pure and we're so happy for her. But to see that, Robby's hard work, as heartbreaking as it was for him to, suffer that unfortunate injury and to not get that trophy, that sometimes you can still move on. I think that's the point of the series, is that it's not about a trophy. It's about, picking yourself up. You have second, third, fourth, fifth, a million chances in life to turn things around. And Robby's going to have a happy life and hopefully the two of them together. Yeah.
Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Boys, professional artists and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The hard knock life. Comics, movies, and TV. Yeah. Pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this.